Hey everybody, so I'm just going to post a lo-fi video today. You know, it takes a lot of time editing stuff for these things, and sometimes I have like ideas just after teaching a student, and then when I have to set up the mics and do all these things and then edit stuff, I've lost the kind of whole momentum. So I'm going to be posting a few things. The quality is just going to be, I'm just shooting these on the phone, but I think you're going to get some cool stuff out of it. And it kind of gives you an idea of how I teach and what I teach to my more advanced students. So if you guys are thinking of studying with me, this gives you a bit more of an insight rather than me going, here's a 2-octave arpeggio exercise. It's like, yeah, this stuff's all good, but this is like some harmony stuff, which I think is what a lot of my students find the most interesting. So what I'm doing here, and this is how I often end up practicing, is I'm taking a standard or a fragment of a jazz standard. This is in fact, I'm using the chord sequence from Miles Davis's Solar, which you guys probably know. That tune, it's a beautiful little tune, short, but got some really nice kind of ideas in it. Now, what I was working on was, this chord sequence is interesting. It starts off on a C minor, right? And then it goes G minor, C7 into F major, and then F minor, B flat 7, E flat major, and then E flat, A flat, D flat, and then a quick 2, 5 back to the C minor. So a short sequence. And grab a copy. You can find it online. The sequence is in the iReal Pro app. You find it in the fake book. You know, it's easy to find. Solar, S-O-L-A-R by Miles Davis. So I was kind of working on. So what the hell am I doing there? All right, I'll show you. So I'm thinking of transitioning over this C minor, and then it goes G minor, C7, but I'm ignoring the G minor. This is kind of key to this line I'm doing here. So I'm really just thinking of C minor tonality, and then I'm absorbing that G minor 7, the 2 chord of F that goes then to C7, and thinking of it all as C7. This means I'm playing a longer line over the C7, the 5 chord of F. So like I said, it's going C minor, G minor, C7, F, like that, right? But I ignore that G minor, so I'm thinking C minor here. And then where it goes to G minor, I'm thinking of C7 right from there. And that whole line there was from the Whole Diminished Scale I was playing, superimposing that over the C7 sound, all right? Now, you might ask, well, why are you using diminished over a C7? Well, it's the C7, but I'm thinking of it, I'm implying a C7 with an altered 9 sound, a flat 9 and a sharp 9 in this particular idea. So that flat 9 or a sharp 9 is one of those extensions, like tensions, that a dominant 7 supports really well, depending on if you're playing under a melody, of course, but this is when I'm soloing. If the chord is specified as a C9, that means there's a D present. But if it's C7 with no 9 specified, this is a great time to try this. If it's C7 flat 9 or C7 sharp 9 written, you can use the Whole Diminished, which contains both 9s, the flat and the sharp 9. It's really cool. So I want some tension in that dominant, so that when it resolves into the F major, it feels like we've released that tension and moved into this new tonal center, right? So my first idea here was a C minor pentatonic, right? That's just C minor pentatonic. I'm just starting on an E flat there, and that fits over that chord well. Then when it went to effectively what I'm thinking is 2 bars of C7, not 1 of G minor, 1 of C7, and I might throw up the chord sequence for Solar above here because there's some dead space here. So I'll probably throw the chord sequence up, you can see it. So here, instead of worrying about the G minor and thinking, oh, what do I do there? So I'm just making it all C7. It gives me longer to play a more interesting idea on that C7 chord. So what I did, and I made it more obvious on that particular version, I put more of a, did like a straight diminished arpeggio run. Yeah, just to really bring that out. See, and resolves into F major perfectly, right? So we have C minor, All right, and then that whole run there was half whole diminished, and I went da 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 da, bad singing, into the major third of the F chord, you see. So what I think this shows you is when you're practicing stuff, and I think this is important, just my opinion, you guys might let me know in the comments, but I think this is good. Have something definite to practice on. You know, a couple of my students, and they always know I'll pull them up on this. If they say, oh, I've been kind of noodling around with X or Y, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound good. It's like, don't noodle on something, focus on something. So if you want to get comfortable with the half whole diminished or the minor pentatonic, play on something. So give yourself an idea, go, okay, I'm going to play 2 bars on C minor. And you could set this up on a loop in iReal Pro. You just loop that or program that. It's very easy to do. And just do 2 bars on C minor, right? 2 bars on C7. You can even specify in iReal Pro, make it a C7 flat 9 or sharp 9, and then going into F major. You can make it like a 6-bar loop, 2 bars on each of those chords, just going round and round if you like, yeah? And what you do then is you go, okay, well, let me think of my pentatonic, and I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and right? So there, it's a perfect example of it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So there I just did the same kind of thing, just to run these ideas, right? Pentatonic, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, and I just did that long diminished arpeggio down. Now, that one I'll show you just note for note. So what am I doing here? So this is a diminished arpeggio. Now, when you have a C7, and we want to imply that flat 9 here, for example, right? What I'm doing is I'm thinking of a diminished 7 arpeggio, a half step up from the root, all right? Or based off the flat 7 or the major third or the 5th or the flat 9. It's a symmetrical 4-note pattern. It's going to have, look, if I start on D flat, the flat 9 is C7, D flat, E, G, B flat, those are the 4 notes, right? Well, they'll repeat symmetrically. I can start on any of those 4 notes. Look, D flat, E, G, B flat, E, G, B flat, D flat, G, B flat, D flat, E, B flat, D flat, E, G, right? So the diminished scale is symmetrical. The scale itself consists of a half and a whole step. I'm going to do a full video series that you can buy on my website on diminished harmony, and we're going to do a serious deep dive. It'll probably be a 2 or a 3-part video because I could do 3 hours of videos on this easy. But this is just a little taster. I think it gives you a little flavor, which I think you'll dig, all right? So that little diminished line we could superimpose on a C7. Why? Because it contains the flat 7, the flat 9, the major third, and the 5th, and the minor or flat 7. It's got the tones you need in there to bring out the sound of it, right? So I have my pentatonic. See what I mean? You can immediately hear the difference in sound, can't you, from that minor pentatonic sound, which gives us our C minor sound, right? And then we hit the C7, right? That's very descriptive of the sound of that C7. Now we can mix that with an idea. Jocko did this in Donnelly. He did that half whole. This kind of idea. I actually did it on, where was it here? Let me see if I can remember for you. Yeah, that's kind of what he did, right? So that was like what he used an E flat 7 to go back into the tonic 1 of A flat, right? And Jocko used a lot of half whole diminished ideas in his solo on Donnelly. So that was kind of a bit of an eye-opener for me years ago when I was kind of working on that. I was like, I love the sound of those lines. I'm like, and it resolved so perfectly, just like that one did into the A flat. So I'm like, oh, that was great. So, and then he also does, remember he does that one. I'm just kind of doing it from memory. That may not be exactly right. So, there's something to practice. Take one chord type, like C minor, and go to the parallel, same root, but go to the parallel dominant chord, right? So you're staying with the same root, but you're transitioning from a minor pentatonic diminished harmony off the same root. So it's C half whole diminished, not whole half, half whole, which is the same as C sharp whole half. It's symmetrical. You start on the half step or the whole step, right? But when you go to C7, don't get confused and go, oh, then I should use the diminished that goes whole half. No. Think of it as off the root of the dominant, you're going half whole. That way you incorporate the flat 9 and the sharp 9. C, D flat, right? E flat or D sharp, E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C. I tend to name these corresponding to what's easiest for me to think of in the moment. So honestly, even though technically that's a D sharp is the sharp 9, I often see that as an E flat to an E, right? I think of that major and minor. I think of that sound as being like it's a minor sound, isn't it? You've got this weird thing of a minor and a major third, but it's a sharp 9 technically, all right? So get comfortable with that. Practice over something specific. Give your practice focus. All right, there you go. So that was a little over 10 minutes. Hope you guys hung with it. I know it's a little long, but hopefully that's just interesting. This is like the stuff that I go through with my students, obviously slower, and we do this in a longer time period, but this is an insight into it. And I thought you might find it interesting rather than like sort of a, 2-minute quick fix or, the one secret lick that'll turn your life around. That really doesn't exist. So let me know if you dig it. Don't forget, check out my website, support the site, support the channel. You can do the buy me a coffee thing. You can send me $10,000. I can buy a new mountain bike for Christmas. You know how much I love mountain biking. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.